Here are my UFC 300 predictions. Starting off with the early prelim opener of Davison Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. This is a fairly simple prediction, I think. I think most people will be picking this. I just think Davison Figueiredo is better than Cody Garbrandt in every single aspect of MMA. And I think Cody Garbrandt's chin is just completely gone. You can see Cody Garbrandt coming off a win against a bum, and you see Davison Figueiredo coming off a win against a high-ranked guy in Rob Font. I don't know why this matchup was made. It's not fair to Cody Garbrandt. He has a family, but it's okay. Davison Figueiredo hits like a truck. I see him getting a TKO or KO in the first round. Easy. Davison Figueiredo wins this fight. Next up, we have a matchup of sort of legends in the lightweight division. Well, they are legends in the lightweight division. We have Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. I think this will be a really close decision fight. I think this will end up being a decision. I think these guys are pretty similar skill wise. Bobby Green obviously beat Grant Dawson in a really impressive way to get ranked, but then he got smoked by Jalen Turner. That was a disgusting finish. And Jim Miller, even at 40, has looked like a solid guy in this division. I think this is going to be a close fight. I think this goes to decision, but I think Jim Miller is going to keep his streak up. He won at UFC 100. He won at UFC 200. I think he's going to win at UFC 300. I think he's going to utilize his wrestling pedigree on Bobby Green, and he's going to win this fight probably 2-1. I could see him winning the first. Bobby Green picks up striking in the second, wins the second, and then he sort of picks it back up in the third, and then Jim Miller wins 29-28 on all judges' scorecards. Unanimous decision. Jim Miller, the GOAT, gets ranked. Absolutely beautiful way. And then hopefully he just retires, rides off into the sunset. Next, we have Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. I think these are pretty similar fighters, kind of. Marina Rodriguez sort of had a dry spell, but then got a good win against Michelle Waterson. Jessica Andrade, same thing, dry spell, win against Mackenzie Dern. I also think this will be a decision, but I'm leaning towards Marina Rodriguez. I think she has better striking than Jessica Andrade. I think she's more. I think she's got more of an output based striking, whereas Jessica Andrade is like power, you know? I just think the output based striking will work better against someone like Jessica Andrade. I see Marina Rodriguez coasting to a 30-27 on all scorecards. This will be a striking battle. I just think Marina Rodriguez will win the striking exchanges and win this fight pretty clearly. 30-27. Marina Rodriguez. And we have a fight that was actually sort of recently announced. It was the latest announced fight for this card. Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano. This is a really interesting fight for this division. But I think Jalen Turner is going to win this fight clearly. I think this fight is going to look similar to Renato Moicano versus RDA, where it's a banger of a fight, but Moicano's kind of just getting rolled. You know, I think Jalen Turner just is better than Renato Moicano ever. I think he's got better striking. And I think this fight will mainly be on the feet. So better striking obviously means, you know, Jalen Turner wins this fight. I could see him getting a late finish, but I just think Renato's so durable that he'll probably just get beat up for 3 rounds and still be in there by the end of it. I'm going 30-27. 30-27, yeah. Unanimous decision win. Jalen Turner. And he'll probably get a big fight. Probably like a Benoit Saint-Denis fight after this. So, yeah. Jalen Turner. Either late TKO or just clear decision. Next, we have one of my most anticipated fights for this night. We have the prelim opener of Sodiq Yusuff versus Diego Lopes. This is super interesting, but I'm going with my boy, Diego Lopes. I fucking love this guy's style. This guy has such a crazy style. He's really well-rounded. Sodiq Yusuff obviously coming off a loss against Edson Barboza. I mean, that was a striking battle and Sadiq lost. You kind of expect that against a guy like Edson Barboza. But I just think Diego Lopes being as well-rounded as he is, he can have decent exchanges on the feet while also dominating on the ground. I just think I see him getting a finish. I think Sodiq Yusuff's confidence will be slightly low in this fight after taking a loss. And I can see Diego Lopes getting a wacky, like, flying triangle, like, absolute crazy shit in this fight. I just see Diego Lopes going far in this division, and I think this is the first step to him getting ranked in this division. I've got Diego Lopes submission in the second round. And next, we've got the debut of Kayla Harrison fighting Holly Holm. Obviously a veteran of the division, but boring ass fights. This fight is probably going to be terrible. But I think there's a bit of pressure on Kayla Harrison here because obviously she took her first loss quite recently. And I think having UFC debuted against someone as not big in the UFC, but as well known in the UFC as Holly Holm, will come with a certain level of pressure. I think if Kayla Harrison can get Holly Holm on the ground, she wins this fight easily, obviously. But I just think Holly Holm has a striking acumen that she doesn't tap into a lot, that she can tap into in this fight. I don't think Kayla Harrison's going to get Holly Holm down. It's also Kayla Harrison's first fight at bantamweight, so that weight cut could be big because she's been fighting up, obviously. So I think Holly Holm's going to win this. I've got a Holly. Most women's fights are decisions, so I'm just going to back a boring decision. I'm going to back Holly Holm winning this 30-27. I think it'll be clear. I think she'll outstrike her and she won't get taken down. Holly Holm, 30-27. You know, but it's fine. We move on. 2. Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. This fight is basically, do you think Sterling's going to be able to take Calvin Kattar down? Or do you think Calvin Kattar is going to be able to keep this fight on the feet? I think Aljamain Sterling's going to be able to get Calvin Kattar down. I think he's going to be a much bigger guy. I mean, he's a huge guy. I think he'll still have a decent structure at featherweight, and I think he's just got such a good grappling pedigree that he'll be able to take a guy like Calvin Kattar down, who I can't really name a time he's been tested too much on the ground. Calvin Kattar. I think most of his fights are striking exchanges, so I think this will be a different fight for him. I just see Aljamain Sterling getting him down and probably submitting him. I think he could submit him late, but this could also just be Aljamain controlling him for 3 rounds, just getting a clear 30-27. But I've said that for 5 fights, so I'm going to be a bit more interesting here. I'm going to go rear naked choke submission, round 3, Aljamain Sterling. Late submission after dominating on the ground for 2 rounds, gets him down in the 3rd, and submits him. That's what I've got. Aljamain Sterling starts off his featherweight debut with a win. Then we've got the prelim, the last fight on the prelims. Yuri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic. Both these guys coming off losses. Although Rakic's one was a bit more controversial with obviously an injury. Can't really control that. He was doing decent against Yan and then he got the injury. And Yuri Prochazka getting flatlined by Alex Pereira. But this is an interesting one. Let's say Alexander Rakic has ring rust and Yuri Prochazka gets a finish. I can see Yuri Prochazka coming out here and just wanting this more than Alexander Rakic. I think Yuri's a crazy guy. He's going to throw crazy ass tactics out there. And I think one of those crazy tactics is going to catch Alexander Rakic and put him out. Rakic did lose to Volkan Oezdemir, so if you lose to Volkan Oezdemir, I think you can lose to Yuri Prochazka. I've got Yuri Prochazka by spinning back elbow in the 3rd round, some crazy wild shit. I think it'll be later on the fight. I think this fight will probably start quite slow because both these guys are going to be hesitant to exchange it first. But I've got Yuri Prochazka finish in the 3rd round. I just think he's going to want this more than Alexander Rakic. He's going to want to get back to this title picture after relinquishing and then getting knocked out in his first fight back. I think there's a lot of unproven ground for Yuri, and I think this fight is going to prove that he's still one of those top guys. Yuri Prochazka flying back elbow in the 3rd round. And we move on to the opener of the main card, which should absolutely not be on the main card, but fuck it, whatever. Bo Nickal versus Cody Brundage. I'm not wasting anyone's time on this prediction. We all know Bo Nickal's winning this fight. He's going to absolutely ragdoll Cody Brundage in this fight. Cody Brundage coming off a win. That was sort of fluky. He shouldn't have won the fight, but he got it because of illegal strikes to the back of the head. Fine, whatever. It elevates him to be a bomb to fight Bo Nickal and get ragdolled. We're not wasting time. Bo Nickal 1st round submission. Please elevate this guy so I can actually rate him, because I don't rate him at all now because he's fighting bombs. But, this is going to be easy. Bo Nickal win to start off the card. And then we move on to the good main card fights. We've got Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. This is sort of a 50-50 matchup. I think this will be a 50-50 matchup in a lot of people's eyes. But I think Charles Oliveira is going to win this fight clearly. I think Charles Oliveira, way more experience, a lot more proven at the top of this division. This is Arman's first fight, sort of, making it to a title if he wins this fight. So I just think Charles Oliveira is better than Arman in pretty much every aspect. I think he's better at striking. I think he's better on the ground. Even though Arman has proven he has good striking in his more recent fights, I just think Charles Oliveira is better. Charles Oliveira, both of these guys actually, coming off knockouts against Beneil Dariush. But I just see Charles Oliveira outstriking him, not rocking him, and then taking him down and submitting him. I think I've got Charles Oliveira 2nd round submission. I think he's probably gonna land a nice shots in the first round, win the first round clearly. No, we might see Charles lose the first round because he is susceptible to not starting slow but getting rocked easily. So Armin might land a shot that rocks him. He pulls guard. Armin like beats him up a little bit in the first round, but then the second round he turns it on. Charles Oliveira starts outstriking him, gets him down, submits him. I've got Charles Oliveira winning this fight relatively easily. I think Charles Oliveira gets the win here and gets his rematch against Islam Makhachev. And then we go on to the title fights, the 5-round fights of this card. This isn't really a title fight, but I guess it counts. Justin Gaethje vs Max Holloway. I actually want to call out people in MMA for this fight because I see motherfuckers picking Max Holloway to win this fight. You guys are on drugs. I don't see it. I think Justin Gaethje is going to absolutely destroy Max Holloway. If you watch, my reasoning is because Chan Sung Jung was rocking Max Holloway. If you look back at that fight, Chan Sung Jung was getting moments where he was hurting Holloway, where Holloway looked hurt. Yes, Holloway's upper division. That will help his chin, even though his chin is amazing. He's shown amazing things. I just think this is the fight where he loses his chin. Upper division, you're going to have guys hitting harder. Justin Gaethje hits 100 times harder than Chan Sung Jung. And I think Justin Gaethje is going to terrorize him in this fight. I see him getting an early potential KO, but I'm going to go TKO. I'm going to go Justin Gaethje TKO in the second round. I think this is the fight, Max Holloway. Finally, the chin gets cracked, even though Max Holloway's a legend. I just think taking as much damage as he has in wars and then fighting upper division against Justin Gaethje, it's not going to go well. I see a Justin Gaethje finish happening in this fight, and I think he's going to win this fight easily. Justin Gaethje, TKO, round 2. And we move on to Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan. This may be the fastest prediction of all time. Weili Zhang's better in every aspect. She's going to win on the feet. She's going to win on the ground. She's going to get a 50-45 unanimous decision to win this fight. It's going to be easy. She's going to control this fight. Yan Xiaonan has 0% chance of winning this fight and will lose this fight. Weili Zhang to get another defense on a record. That's the prediction. And we move on to the main event of UFC 300, Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. I think this has potential to be a war. Both these guys could knock each other out with one punch. They both hold intense power. But because of what Jamal Hill's been saying, how he wants to strike on the feet with Alex Pereira, I have to say Alex Pereira will win this fight by finish. If we saw what happened when people decide, we see what happens when people decide to strike with Alex Pereira. It never ends well. Sean Strickland learned this. Jamal Hill is about to learn this. Alex Pereira, he hits like an absolute tank. He has some of the best striking in the division. I just don't see how Jamal Hill is going to win this on the feet, if he stays on the feet, unless he lands like one punch that just sleeps Alex Pereira, but I don't see that happening. And the storyline here is Alex Pereira avenging Glover Teixeira. I think he has to accomplish that. Imagine you and your mentor taking 2 losses, and it's to a fat Jamal Hill. It's just not good. It's just not good looks. I think Alex Pereira is gonna maybe not dominate this fight, but I think it'll be close on the striking first 2 rounds. Alex Pereira and Jamal Hill will start sort of slow in the first round, and then it'll pick up in the second round. They'll have a bit of a war, scrapping in the second round, and then in the third round, Alex Pereira will land a shot that sleeps Jamal Hill, sends him into oblivion after his injury, and GG's. This is all. It's also kind of crazy for Jamal Hill to be taking this fight off to a pretty. I don't think it's a long layoff, but coming off an injury that forced him to relinquish a title. I think it's a bit crazy to fight a guy like Alex Pereira in this position, but Jamal Hill's a crazy guy, and that craziness is not going to pay off. Alex Pereira probably check left hook, third round, puts Jamal Hill out to end the night, and we see still UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira.